Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reaction series, straight after Arsenal have won a game of football in which they scored goals. Amazing. We can do that when it doesn't matter. But Arsenal scored 3 against West Brom. I was going to say again, but it was 4-0, wasn't it, at the Hawthorns? Amazing. We can score goals when the opposition lets us. But welcome, hello. I'm not salty in any way whatsoever. I just feel I've done so many shows now since last Thursday that whilst I'm happy we won, it is just there's just this lingering kind of sense of frustration. Tell me if I'm alone. Tell me if you feel the same way. It is a little bit, it's a little bit frustrating. It really, really is, especially when certain players put on performances and score goals. Smith-Rowe pops up with some final product, which is great for him in development. But my God, I wish he'd have brought it a little bit sooner. Pepe pops up with an absolute screamer. Could have done with that on Thursday. And then of all people, Willian pops up and scores a great free kick with a shot on target, which I think is a commodity in itself, let alone a goal. So we should be grateful, shouldn't we? There's lots to talk about still. There's team selection stuff to go through. I'm excited to get your thoughts and feelings around this kind of weird period in time. So I hope you are good. Make sure that you are subscribing, you're liking the videos, of course. We're keeping you up to date with all of the latest Arsenal information. We're obviously live straight after the games. And if you haven't already, join us for one of our 8 a.m. shows UK time for all of the latest Arsenal transfer news as well. Got some interesting videos coming up for you next week, including some breakdowns of possible managerial candidates, including the likes of Galtier, and of course some more focuses on the likes of William Saliba and some transfer targets too. So let's carry on with today's show in particular and get your thoughts surrounding the game. Tulip says that we need a Willian emoji. It's high time now. Yeah, it's not going to happen. I'm not making a Willian emoji. It's just, I don't care if he scores at the end of the season. I'm not even going to entertain it as a joke. No, it's just not going to happen. Tom says, Tom, how can people say the season has been a failure when we've just won the first ever Big Sam relegation trophy, which is, if there was anything to play for today, that was certainly at the top of the agenda. T. Irving says, Willian could be the answer at number 10, Oh, God, don't. Just don't. Don't do this. It's pointless. Do not do this. Ansgar says, dead game, really. Who cares at this point? We're going to go on to a little bit about kind of caring about these final few games in a second. Slavomir says, the Arsenal admin on Facebook was so excited that Willian scored. They posted it that it was 3-0. I mean, yeah, someone's getting sacked in the morning. I mean, that social guy has been treading on thin ice for a long, long while now. Contract extension for Willian, says Kai. Yes or no? Let's hear your thoughts in the chat box. 3 more years. Willian. Gooner Vettel says, give Willian a new contract. Mark says, we are going back to the gloomy kind of Wednesday Chelsea. It's predictable what's going to happen. We'll see what happens on Wednesday against Chelsea. Brad Richardson says, we're going to get demolished by Chelsea. Forever an Arsenal fan says, Willian to start the next 30 games. And Amir says that we should go for Mateus Pereira. Of course, scored a really, really good goal from an individual standpoint. Although the defending was absolutely deplorable. I don't know why Gabriel listened to Dani Ceballos when he pointed to absolutely nothing and decided to think, yes, I'm going to follow the instruction of the guy that's messed up so many times this season and think that is the right decision. No. And unfortunately, when he realized he listened to an idiot, went to the left, it was way too late to try and stop Pereira's shots. I don't know what Gabriel was doing there. Absolutely ridiculous. And speaking about Dani Ceballos, let's go into the team selection. I want to hear your thoughts on certain things. A lot of people have been calling for Gabriel Martinelli to play as a striker. We're going to talk about that. Dani Ceballos starting as well. And the lack of some players that aren't on the bench that I know a lot of people wanted to see on the bench, and why I'm not particularly fussed or surprised that is the case. Starting with Dani Ceballos, I said yesterday, and I'm saying this like I'm ever listened to by the Arsenal hierarchy. I don't want to see anyone that's not going to be with us next season playing. I don't see the point. Why would we give them minutes? Why would we allow them development? Why would we boost, if it could even boost, any part of their valuation for their club? Why do them that favour? I get that you want to rest Partey. Sure, do it. Bring someone else in. just play a different system. Even if you have to play bloody Chambers at defensive midfield, I don't care at this point. Just keep someone in the team that's actually going to be here. What is the point in playing someone who's on loan? I can understand why we benched Erdegaard. He's probably going to go and play him on Wednesday now. But why play Ceballos? He's awful. Like, we know this now. We realise this. It's taken some time for some of us to realise it. I was quite excited when he signed. I thought it was a decent acquisition. He did really well at the end of last season alongside Granit Xhaka, but this season he's been bloody dreadful. So why has Arteta persisted with him? I don't know. I get that we wanted to rest some players because of Thursday, and of course we've got a big game. I say big game. It's a big game in just the kind of the context of the game being Arsenal-Chelsea, but I understand that. I hope that we play with a lot of a stronger team than we saw starting today. But Ceballos, I really, really don't get that. Next one is Martinelli. I've said it on a number of shows before, not like that's some sort of medal. Like, congratulations, Tom, you've said this before. No, I've said this before. I don't think Martinelli is going to end up being a striker. I might be proven wrong, which is fine. It's happened before. It's happened plenty of times. I don't think he's a striker. I think he gives us a lot more in a wide area. I think that you can leave kind of the strikers to themselves. There's no point transitioning Martinelli into a forward in a central position. Play him on the wing. Play him there. Let him run. Give him the energy. He can track back. He can do all of that. He's a decent crosser. We've seen that this season against Newcastle ever so recently. He got a really good crossing against Manchester City in the League Cup for Lacazette. The guy can hit a ball across the box. I'm not so sure about his finishing abilities right now. I'm not so sure about what he adds in terms of link-up play in the middle of the park either. But just play him on the wing. He's a winger. If you're not going to... His performance today, I'll be very, very brutally honest. And I know a lot of people love Martinelli, and so do I. But you got to be objective sometimes, and you got to be real. It was awful. It weren't great. He gave you your running. That's what you can get. That's a guarantee from Martinelli. You're going to get running from the guy. So for me, that's the benchmark. That's the minimum that I expect from Martinelli, is that he gives us running. Everything else about his game today, it wasn't there. The movement weren't right. The timing of his runs weren't right. When he was in the right places, he couldn't get onto the ball. When he had a shot, it wasn't great. And I know people will say, maybe I'm being harsh. Maybe I am. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and absolutely bash Dani Ceballos and then give Gabriel Martinelli preferential treatment. He needs to be on the wing for me. It's just his more natural position. That's where I think he should play. That's what he needs to do, and that's where he needs to be developed. Stop trying to change the kids. He's a wide player. That's what he needs to do. He was so desperate to try and get on the ball. He went far too deep at times, and he doesn't have the link-up abilities. Like, I can understand when Lacazette drops deep because he can hold off players and link-up play, and he's a decent passer. That's not Martinelli's style. Play off the last man, run at your players, get on the ball in the final third, get the ball played to you, don't go and get it. That's not what you're about, Martinelli. You're about running, you're about energy, and you're about pressing. And ultimately, when you're on the ball, you're about trying to create stuff and getting the balls into the box and being direct and taking your man on. You're not about dropping deep and trying to link play up. That's not what Martinelli is about. So let's not put him into a position where he isn't going to be what we need him to be. So that's kind of what I had to say. Let's see what you guys are saying about Martinelli in the chat box. Daniel Roberts says Martinelli had such poor touches today. Matthew Hudson says, lol, no, the fans see Martinelli have a bad game and have become experts, saying he can't be this or that. He needs time. Matthew Hudson, I would say to you is that we need to have the same kind of rhetoric that we've said with other players. I can't sit here and criticise the likes of Nketiah and Willock and Nelson, and then when there's a bad game from Martinelli, not sit here and give him all of this preferential treatment. That's not fair. There's no sitting on the fence. It's just saying it how it is. I don't think he's a striker. I think he's a wide player, and I think that's where he should be put there. We've seen this kid has got amazing potential, and he can score some amazing goals. We've seen it too. And we've seen that he can play some really good stuff in the wide areas, and he's full of energy, and he needs to be given a run in the team next season. But I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit here and just lie about what I've saw. That's just not what I'm going to do. Kevin Gabe says, hey, Tom, hope you're good. I agree on Martinelli. He gets goals, but he is better on the wing and interchange to get goals as well. Suarez says, when Saka was giving those crosses, Martinelli was standing in the middle, providing no movement whatsoever and being absolutely clueless. But I love him. You can't help but not love the kid. That is for sure. Como Lee Ray says, hard to say right now, but maybe Arteta is right about Martinelli. He needs more time to develop. Get over trying to push him into that centre forward role. Tom Beck says Martinelli could do well playing the second striker. Not for me. You look at Giroud. Giroud is amazing with his link-up play. It's one of his best attributes. And just as we talked about, Martinelli's not going to be the guy to be a link-up guy, not the guy to hold the ball up. He's the guy to take your man on, to run beyond the last defender and try to create stuff. And you need that in a wide area, not in a central area. Ansgar says, to be fair, I think Arteta was testing it today. He might take something from this. Let's see. Avinash says, come on, people. Everyone opposing it. You know that if there was a European Conference League, we'll all watch it. Yeah, let's see. Jashar says, Tom didn't watch the match. A midfield which included Willian and Sebastian Elneny didn't interest me. I wanted to see more youngsters involved. I can't blame you. I'm not going to discredit you for not watching a game that ultimately may not matter in the long term. O'Malley says, if only they'd listened to you, Tom, and played Saka at left back. Oh my God, yes. Why do that to us? Why sit there and then play Saka now at left back? It worked so well. He was so creative. He combined well with Willian, of all people, being played in behind, the crosses, the chance creation. We created so many times crosses from Saka, from left back. It's just a real kick in the teeth. I'd sit there and rather, to be honest, the last 4 games of the season, I'd rather he was just stubborn and played Cedric there than actually putting Saka there and letting us watch what we could have had for the last 7 or so games. It's so frustrating seeing the guy that we've all been saying for weeks, play him at left back. He's going to give us something going forwards. We can move Xhaka into the middle of the park, and that's where he's going to give us more because, my God, Danny Ceballos is terrible. I just need to say that one more time. It's so frustrating, O'Malley. I agree with you wholeheartedly that you can sit there and you can play Saka at left back. Oh, jeez. It's just so frustrating. Deary me. Paul says, I disagree with that, Tom. We have seen Martinelli as a striker on a few occasions under Emery, and he was excellent. It's literally one game. Give the boy time. Honestly, it really does frustrate me when people are turning around to me and saying, give the boy time, as if I'm saying I'm writing this kid off. It's not about that. It's not me saying I'm not giving him time. I'm giving him all the time in the world. I want him to become an absolute superstar. But let's not force him into positions that I don't think he's going to play in. I think he's going to need to be on the wing, and I've said my piece on that. Let's go for Balaji says left back. It's so frustrating. I feel your pain. And my reaction says it's because he doesn't listen to us. No, I mean, I don't blame him. Half the fan base don't have a clue what they're talking about. So I don't, and that's me sometimes, to be fair too. So Captain Planet says it's done now, Tom. We just have to let it go. I mean, if that was the case, we'd never learn from our mistakes. So I hope that it's not just let go by the management. I hope they understand the mistake that they've made and change things going forwards. Gary Hardy says, also frustrating was actually seeing us shoot from outside the box today and not on Thursday. Yonic Max says, El Nino controlling the midfield. What has the world become? Elneny should be playing alongside Partey on Thursday. I agree with you, unless Xhaka is obviously back. Elneny has to play alongside Partey. If Ceballos is anywhere near this team on Thursday, I'll cry. I'm actually going to tear up at the sight of seeing Ceballos in this team right now. Let's talk about Nicola Pepe's performance. I want to talk about this in 2 ways. We're going to go down the positives first, and then we're going to talk about the other thing that annoyed me. And you may know what I'm about to talk about. Great goal. Fantastic strike. Brilliant movement. Perfect. What we've wanted to see from Pepe on the right-hand side. We've seen him play a lot on the left, and a lot of us, I think, would agree that we quite like him on the left. We probably like him more on the left than on the right. But when he plays on the right, we want to see stuff like that. That's what we want to see from him. This is why we signed him. He can do that. He's scored these types of goals consistently at Arsenal. He's done it a fair few times. West Ham, I'm thinking back to obviously today. He's done it in the Europa League. He's done it in the Premier League. He's done it against so many sides now that it just needs to be more consistent. And he can really, and he's one of our best strikers of a ball. You have to say that you can't disagree with it. He is one of the best strikes of a ball that we've got. So I want to see that more. Now, let's talk about the celebration. You know me, I do read into things a little bit too much sometimes. I get you. But, I Yeah, we've just been knocked out of Europe. The season is in absolute ruin. Pepe himself has missed some big chances in games. It has put us in this position at times. And to go up to the camera where you've got, I was going to say millions, but it was more in the hundreds of thousands, I think, that were watching today. To go up to the camera and point to the fans and celebrate like that, it just lacks a little bit of kind of level-headed thinking. Is probably the most polite way to kind of put it. Yeah, really, really, really not. I don't know why. If you haven't seen what he did, you'll be able to find it on the socials. He just basically scored. He ran up to the camera. He pointed at it. He said something. I don't know what he said. But just, come on. That in itself, for me, is a little bit kind of it encapsulates a little bit and symbolises, I suppose, kind of the mental issues that we've got in the team right now. Just, yeah, don't go overboard. Celebrate all you like. Like, go ahead and celebrate on the pitch with your teammates, congratulate them, whatever. Don't go up to the camera and point at the fans. Don't go up to the camera and point to the fans when we are feeling the lowest of the low right now. It just, yeah, not great. Not great at all. Alex says, I think he's just trying to be positive. I can see the point of view, Alex. I think, as Glenn says there, it's just a bit tone deaf of the situation. Yeah, it's a game against West Brom. The league's dead. Europe's out. We're on for our worst finish. It's just a little bit, it just frustrated me a bit. Yeah, you can say I might be overthinking it, and there's probably an element of truth in that, but it's just, it's just a little bit frustrating. What else is there? Because there's not loads that we can sit here and talk about regards to the game. Let's talk about Gabriel's defending for their goal. Again, if you didn't catch that, worrying signs. I want to see him playing next to someone that he can communicate with and get on with and he's got a better chemistry with. I think that Gabriel alone is not enough to improve the Arsenal's defence. We need to be bringing in another top-class right centre-back. We might already have them in the form of Saliba. Fingers crossed they can form a partnership. But, yeah, there's a few things towards the end of this season. Gabriel, the centre-back, has really kind of worried me at times with some of his rashness and the kind of brain farts, I suppose, that he has on occasion and just kind of loses his man or he's out of position or just does the wrong thing at the wrong time. That really was a bit of a problem. Alia says, you look tired, Tom. Go to sleep. Trust me, mate, I'm going to be going to sleep very soon. It's long days, working 6 days a week, 8 a.m. shows, 7 days a week if you count this. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's been a long season. It's been an absolutely ridiculous season to try and cover. So I am pretty tired. Yoni Max says, let's talk about Arteta's new trim. He thought he could trick us into thinking that it wasn't him on the bench. Cheeky. Kevy Kev says, Gabriel needs a running games and a stable backline. Ansgar says, why did Lacazette come on rather than Aubameyang? Lacazette was injured a few days ago and Aubameyang needs minutes. I don't think it's something that you need to read into, in my opinion, too much. I think Lacazette's the better player at this moment in time. And so we needed a player that was going to link up the player, and it wasn't working with Gabriel Martinelli, a player that runs off the last man. Aubameyang is a player that runs off the last man. We needed someone that was going to come in and try and grab the ball in the forward line and take a little bit more control, and it worked. The subs worked today, and we won the game thanks to that. So no problem at all with that. Let's go. Matthew Hudson says that goal against us was terrible. They backed off and backed off. We keep doing that always. Tiwa Pest says the more rubbish we are, the harder I work. Yes, that's very true. Suro says, Tom, what do you think of Chambers today? He was okay. Nothing stood out to me about an amazing performance. I thought it was okay. I thought most of the team was just okay. It wasn't a great display. I feel like I'm a little bit biased at the moment in a negative sense just because of how I feel about the team. Maybe I'm not spotting kind of some really good things, but it's a position that we need to upgrade in. Right back is a position that we need to target and improve, and Chambers is not that guy. He's good utility player, good at cover for right centre-back, good at cover for right back. That is about it, to be honest. Let's give some credit, though, to Emile Smith-Rowe, because obviously he has, for me, really been lacking that final product. The end ball, the goal, the strike, just that part of his game has been missing from the Arsenal team. And it was great to see him score. Absolutely fantastic to see him score today. It was a really good finish, really good movement, right place, right time, read the play perfectly. And he was direct. And this kid, I hope, is going to be the future of this football club in that position, in our number 10 role, that can score goals from the midfield. Buzzing for him that he scored. Saka was really, really good as well. Those two were probably the men of the match, you would say. Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe in the match easily, far and away. The kids are dragging this team to where it should be. They can't do it on their own. That's why we're sitting in 8th, 9th, I think we are. We need more, and we need better players, and we need our senior players to step up more this season because they're just not doing it, and it's not good enough. It's not acceptable. We can't rely on these kids to just carry us through the season time after time. Daniel Roberts said Emil Smith-Rowe needs a 10 or the 8. Aoife says Emil Smith-Rowe is brilliant. Wenger would have loved him. Yonic Max says Smith-Rowe at 10. Oh, there's one thing that I want to talk about before we wrap up. Put your hand up if you are one of the people. You know who you are. One of the people that was saying, where's Balogun? Where's Aziz? Was that you? Was that you saying that? Because if it was, I'm sorry, I don't have sympathy for you because they played 2 days ago. If you support the whole club, if you support the club, you support the whole club. And I think you should take a little bit of an interest in seeing kind of looking into the lineups of the under 23s and the 18s. You don't have to watch the games. But, before tweeting a load of abuse at the manager for not picking Aziz and not picking Balogun, go and check. Go and check if they've played in the last couple of days. And they had. They both started the game against, I want to say Aston Villa. Was it Aston Villa or is it West Ham? I don't even know. They started the game 2 days ago. They were in the team. And, yeah. I mean, they're not going to play again. They're not going to start 2 days later. And believe it or not, this may come as a surprise, but actually the league isn't technically over, believe it or not. I mean, if we actually have a look at the Premier League table right now, let's have a look at it. Arsenal are currently sitting in 9th on 52 points with 3 games remaining, 4 points behind Spurs. And the thing is that Spurs have Wolves, Aston Villa and Leicester as their remaining games. Arsenal have Brighton, Crystal Palace and Chelsea, not in that order. Obviously, we've got Chelsea and then we've got Palace and then we've got Brighton. And if Arsenal can get anything, which is a big, big ask from those kind of 3 games. I mean, if you can imagine Arsenal picking up 3 wins, wow. Imagine Arsenal picking up 4 wins in a row. It'd technically be 5 wins because we've actually won 2 on the spin now. Imagine that. It's not over in regards to that. And I genuinely am a little bit upset that the amount of people I've seen saying, I don't care if we don't finish above Spurs. That's saddening. I get it. We're out of Europe. We're probably not going to be able to qualify for European competitions next season. I understand your pain. I understand your frustration. I get it. I feel the same way. But you really, really should care about finishing above those lot. It matters. It matters to us Arsenal fans. It really does. Because if you're a true Arsenal fan, you understand the pain of finishing behind those guys for so many seasons now. For bragging rights, for speaking to your mates, all of that. It matters. It genuinely does. And there's a chance that it can again be done this season. So the whole play the kids, I get the sentiment. But until that is impossible. Last game of the season, if we have literally nothing to play for, I'm all for it. I agree with you. Play the kids. But there's the chance to go above them in the last few games of the season. They love bottling it. We know what they're like. They're Spursy. Fingers crossed we can go into this run. And I mean, if they lose their next game, which as I say, I think it's against Wolves. Wolves had a decent result today. Came from behind against Brighton. If they can put on a decent display and take some points off Spurs and we win, suddenly, last 2 games, it could all change. So who knows what's capable at this stage. Fingers crossed we can do it. But yeah, it really did upset me seeing the amount of people going, I don't care about Spurs. Because you should, because you're an Arsenal fan. And this is part of what being an Arsenal fan's about, is loving the fact of beating those guys and getting above those guys. And it's not happened for a while and it needs to happen. So it would just be a nice it'd be a very small, very, very small kind of thing to just look at the end of the season and go, well, you know, it was absolutely awful this year, but it weren't as awful as that lot. And that means something to me. Genuinely does. So whilst that's still on, let's just try and give it our best shot. Absolutely. Before I wrap up, I want to give a massive congratulations to Jared Carver, our fantastic TGT ambassador who today got engaged. You can find him on Twitter at Chicago Gooner. Congratulations, Jared. Jared genuinely has been one of the nicest people I've ever met on this platform. He's up for talking to anyone. He's open. He's honest. He's got really good cover of analysis of the game. And he's just a great guy to talk to. And it's an absolute pleasure to have him as one of the members and, of course, to come on the shows as well. So enjoy married life when it comes around, as it will for me next year. But yeah, it's an absolute pleasure as always, Jared, and I hope you see this. And if he doesn't see this, make sure, guys, you send him this video, because I really appreciate all of his hard work when he comes onto the channel. And please, if you can, go onto Twitter and send Jared a message. You'll find him. If you type in Chicago Gooner onto Twitter, it will come up with his post that he's put on there. You can go onto my Twitter at the Gooner Talk TV. I've quoted it as well, so you'll be able to find it there. Just giving you thanks. It's been a really rubbish year, so seeing things like that, seeing some positives in the world makes it a little bit better. So a massive, massive congratulations to you, Jared. We will be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. for the transfer show. As always, I'll try to remove these bags under my eyes, because I look genuinely awful, don't I? I just look so tired. I'm going to try and get an earlier night's sleep and try and get up a reasonable hour to then do the show. It's been a pleasure to speak to you guys, as it always is. And as always, up the Arsenal.